The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
I was out of the Catholic Church for about 8 years. In my 30s, actually, not even in my 20s or late teens, in my 30s. There's a lot of reasons for that. I wasn't hostile to her. I didn't leave the Catholic Church because I thought, this Catholic stuff is way off. No. It was because I had this kind of a mishmash view of religion and how Christ wanted us to worship him, that in fact he didn't necessarily establish a church. He did, but, it's got a lot of branches now. And so I just explored one of those branches. I was in the evangelical world, and my wife was not Catholic, so that made it a little more likely I was going to drift. She is now, though. She's very Catholic now. I like to think it was my holy influence. But she tells me no, my influence only delayed her positive view of the Catholic Church. One of the staples of Sunday services where I was in the non-denominational for several years was Bible study. You had the service with a couple of songs, and then about a 45-minute sermon. That pretty much captured most of the service. Then you went to Bible study. Bible study went after certain books of the Bible, most of the time the New Testament. And it was always fascinating because we would take a verse or two and extrapolate all over the place from that single verse, even though there were other verses that needed to be taken into account to understand that verse more accurately. Nevertheless, one of the questions that was raised in our Bible study is, why do other people, and particularly people who are not all that embracing of the Christian faith, why do they get upset with us for our moral perspective? Why can't they just say, hey, okay, you want to have that moral perspective, go ahead. That's your business. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to follow it. I don't like it. But hey, okay, to each his own. You can have your moral perspective. Why do they have to get angry, upset, provocative, attacking? A common answer was, I think that moral system that we adhere to convicts them. Somewhere within them, they know this possibly could be the right way to live, and therefore it bothers them. It upsets them. When we believe a certain way, and they take it that somehow because we believe a certain way that we're judging them for not believing that way. I thought about that answer, and to me it seemed deficient, incomplete. I thought, so what they're saying is that these people are upset at us because they recognize our moral holiness. No, Dr. Ray, that's not what we're saying. Well, it sounds like that we have a certain set of values and morals that they don't necessarily adhere to, at least completely. I mean, they probably share the same moral, don't punch people in the face, and they probably share the same moral of don't scream at someone or be nasty, verbally abusive. They probably share that one. Share the one that says take care of poorer people. But a lot of the sexual stuff they don't share. Is it because they are convicted by our apparent moral uprightness? In other words, we're holy. Or is it that we can come across holier than thou? Thought about this. And this thinking kind of hit me when I came back to the Catholic Church. I was very excited to be back in the Catholic Church. There was a temptation, though, during my first years of coming back and embracing my childhood faith and the faith that I was convinced is the truth, that I had found what our Lord wanted me to find, the truth of the Catholic Church, as he set it up as his authority. And part of me was tempting to think, I've got it and you don't. I know that sounds bad, but I think there is a phase that is dangerous. It can tempt you when you first embrace the faith more deeply, or you convert to the faith, or you come back to the faith after being away from it, which is, I've got it. And you can see this maybe in friendships or in marriages or in family relations, where we have to be scrupulously, excuse me for using that word, careful about coming across like somehow, some way, we are superior because we know what we know. And we've been given the grace to embrace it. If you say that can't happen, all you got to do is look at the religious leaders in our Lord's day. They were the holy ones. They were the ones who had it. They were the ones who were given the complete revelation of Yahweh. They had it. The other people didn't, but they did. And look what happened. Our Lord really assaulted them verbally. Whitewashed tombs, brood of vipers, tombs full of dead men's bones. Can you imagine if you talk to somebody like that now? If you did that, people would say, that's not very Christian, is it? So, given that, you're saying our Lord wasn't very Christian? What are you saying here? So given that, I think there is a danger. There's a trap. That in the zeal of finding the kind of truth that God lets you find, He gave you that gift. The zeal can be, I'm there and you're not. People already are going to be distressed because they are going to impute to you that you are judging them simply because you adhere to a different set of morals or beliefs. That's just part of human nature that says if you think differently than me, you're somehow putting me down in your thinking. Even if you don't say a word. They project that onto you. And I think all I want to be able to say is I want that to be their projection onto me. I don't want it to be because I've given them the slightest bit of evidence that that's what I'm doing. And that's easy to do. In the enthusiasm of finding out and the ecstasy of knowing what you know, that there's, as our priest once put it, there's a chasm between me and you. I'm a believer, you're not. Or I'm a deeper believer and you're a shallower believer. That is a very tricky navigation. And it's a phase that you can get past, at least somewhat, when that initial enthusiasm abates a little bit. And you get a little bit more of a settled mindset that what you've got is a gift you didn't earn. God gave it to you. And the fact that others don't have it or weren't given it, or at least not to the degree you think you have it, should sadden you. Shouldn't make you look down on them. Shouldn't make you get frustrated with them. It shouldn't make you think that somehow they're just wretches. It's too easy to do. I call it having a Persnickety faith. Persnickety is a very highly sophisticated psychological term, and many of you are not trained to use it.
More of Dr. Ray's Manologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Manologues, as well as full-length programs of The Doctor Is In, can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.